people that have an established product or looking to scale. Okay, this is not a complete beginner starting one. I'll still be going through all the things you need to know to scale up, but this is more advanced where you're actually in the process of getting consistent sales and you're wanting to further grow that. Now, I should add as a couple of notes that my strategy is one of many. My strategy is a more conservative approach. My experience when it comes to marketing, especially via paid ads, whether it's Facebook, Google, YouTube, Pinterest, TikTok, whatever, heavy scaling, a lot of people just think should be double, triple your budget. Well, that does bring in more sales and more revenue, but it hurts your profits. So I want to say that my strategy is a very conservative approach where I scale aggressively, but in a controlled sense. And I always will recommend that because marketing is very expensive. And whether you're running an agency, whether you're running it for yourself, you will find very strongly that if you market and spend too much too quickly, you will get results, but your ROAS, your cost per purchase, will go up through the roof, your ROAS will drop, and your profit at the end of the day will drop significantly. And I guarantee you'll come back to a video like this and say, this is the approach that should take. That's always been my experience. And so that's how this is going to work. Without further ado, let's go into the first slide about what this looks like. So step one is audience remarketing. Okay, so when you found a winning product, or your product is doing well on your brand, whether it's a dropshipping store or whether it's an established brand with a collection of products, it's important that it isn't just about cold ads, right? Biggest part is remarketing. Remarketing usually gets you a 3 times lower cost per acquisition and naturally a 3 times higher ROAS, right? So don't just think that you should scale that. Always focus on remarketing and get that in place and make sure that's converting. Then the next step is then you start focusing on cold ad. There are multiple types of remarketing. For e-commerce, which is focused on, you want to focus on custom audience remarketing and DPA remarketing, dynamic product ads. I have videos on that as well. And I'm going to go through how you make a custom audience. Firstly, we focus on a custom audience remarketing. Allows you to basically, you have your pixel, pull that data, filter it, and then market to people using the filter criteria that you've done. When scaling on Facebook, if you're spending $100 a day, you want to put about, as a start, 10%. If it's doing really well, 20% seems to be the golden rule that I find works really well for remarketing because, you know, you can tell and use the column frequency. If your frequency is above about a 4 or 5, especially for e-commerce, you're just wasting money. So you just look at frequency, but I usually find as a general rule of thumb on a per product basis, about 10 to 20%. 10% starting, 20% when it's working quite well. But look at the frequency, make sure that's not too high. If you're happy to go with a higher frequency and have a higher, an established brand, you just know, and you're happy to wear that. But I'm just trying to be conservative when it comes to budget. With custom audience remarketing, 30-day VC is what I start with. You can start with 14 days. I mean, it depends, but I just go 30 days, right? And keep it granular. So you put in the criteria, which would be the product page. Most of the time it's a product. If you're marketing to a collection, you put in that. It's just you put the / whatever the path is, right? And then it filters it. And your VC stands for view content, and 30 days is the look back window. So in 30 days, how many people have gone to this page? And then it makes a custom audience. Next, once you've created that, you want to create your campaign and the custom audience. So I'm going to show you how to do this so it's very, very easy, right? You basically make the same type of campaign, same ad set, but instead of using an interest, you use a custom audience. And that's pretty much it. And in the ad set, you want to leave country, age, and gender open. And basically, because your custom audience is a select number of people, you want to market to those select number of people. If this was cold ads, you want to lock it down. For remarketing, you leave it open, especially in the beginning. But if you're spending a ridiculous amount, you can lock it down, but remarketing in the beginning, leave it open. UGC creatives for the actual creative work best. You can use an image, that works still fine too. I've had many products do quite well with just an image. You can use AI UGC tools. Personally, I always recommend real UGC. You can use that via a review app. A lot of review apps. You can actually download the creative and use that. The more authentic, the better, because that's what people want, authenticity, right? In this day and age of AI, which is fantastic, authenticity is only going to become more important. So please keep that in mind as much as possible. Don't offer a discount immediately as well. In your ad copy, you simply want to just add a reminder to them to come back and buy. So without further ado, let's go into the Ads Manager now and show you how a custom audience works. The slides for this are down below if you want this as well as just a reference point, whatever, for you to use however you see fit as well. Okay, so you can see I'm just in my test ad account that I've used for a variety of things over time. And basically, all you want to do, there's a few ways to go about it, right? This is just sort of my way. I still find it a bit confusing, but you want to, you can go into your business settings. Pardon me. Audiences. Okay, so it used to be called custom audiences. Now they just renamed it to call audiences. All right, so you can see that made some already, and you can see as a test there. So we create a custom audience. Usually go website for e-commerce. You can use all of these, but for e-commerce, we use website. You want to put in the pixel, so it should already have your pixel. It should pick it up automatically. If you only have one pixel, one ad account, and all of that in your business manager, it should be fine. But if you have multiple, obviously choose the one that's applicable. 30 days is the default. You give it a name. I like to call it VC for view content. 30 days, product 1, right? And you don't want to go all website visitors, people who visited a specific one. So URL contains and /dog/collar, pardon me. So you can add multiple URLs and stuff, but all you want to do is go on your website, get the URL that you're trying to remarket to, get the / anything after that is the unique variable. That's all you need. And you go create audience. Now, should add here too, and I'll go into this a bit later. To make lookalikes, you need a custom audience. Okay, so a custom audience you use to filter your pixel, and then you make people similar to what that audience is that you've populated. Okay, so you can create lookalikes, but you need an existing source. So, there's a lot of different ones. So let's just put in that one. Okay, and again, to show you, this is just sort of, we'll get back into this, but this is also where you make lookalike audiences. Okay, so then we go back into the Ads Manager. And again, you just want to make a campaign the same as you normally would. Sales, continue. Again, you can, for remarketing in the beginning, go manual and go ABO. It doesn't matter that much, but that's just sort of my approach. So ABO, and you can update these campaign names. BC 30 days dog collar. Okay, you want to give it a daily budget. Again, we're using the example of 10% of $100 being $10, so you're spending 110. Okay, don't get it confused that you spend 90, you spend 110. This is on top of what you're spending for cold. Okay, run ads all the time, always leave that on, never really schedule it, you don't really need to. Give the ad set a name, we're just going to call it remarketing, that one. Always website, maximum number of conversions, my pixel, my event will be purchase. Start date, again, is always the next day at midnight. Now, a lot of people ask, does it have to be like based on US, whatever? No, it's just midnight based on your ad account time zone. It always optimizes on a 24-hour base on your ad account time zone. You can set spending limits if you really want to control it, of course, as well. Oh, pardon me. I did that wrong, sorry, my apologies. Now we go back into here and we should have the budget, which is $10. I did it at the wrong level. That was doing it at the CBO campaign level. We want to do it at the ad set level. Much the same, right? Now with locations, I leave it, take out locations, because your custom audience, your cold traffic, let's say you're marketing in the United States, your remarketing will automatically be all the people in the United States. But there will be some people outside of that that'll hear about it through word of mouth and stuff. So just leave it open. It won't really cost you anything. I go use original audience, and you put in then the custom audience. Okay, so see how it's then got the new one we've just made, and see how it's still populating, because it's going to be like that because it doesn't have any data. And you can add as many inclusions and exclusions as well. We're going to get into that later, but basically you want to have an inclusion of that. So for instance, advanced remarketing is you could go 1 day, like let's say 7-day remarketing minus 3-day. That way you can make more targeted creatives for that and targeted copy. So you might say 1 day is just a nudge, 3 days could be, hey, here's a 5% discount, 7 days could be a 10%. You want to be mindful of stuff like that. But that's a very advanced strategy when you're heavily scaling and have a considerable amount of data. Again, you leave age, gender open. Don't need demographics either. Always just check the placements. It should be the placements you leave open. A lot of people try and I do look at placements, but for remarketing especially, leave placements open. All right, and again, then you make it creative. Okay, so you choose your page. So creative one. Okay. You can use catalog, but that's a separate type of campaign. That's a DPA. We're going to get into that in a separate step. Fundamentally much the same. We don't want that enabled. We want a manual upload. So you can use an existing post if you have your Facebook page connected. Okay. And sorry, what it does here is it shows you your ad sources, so you can use all of them. You can see I've got some ad sources for testing, so I can show how what DPA works. And then you want to go add media, which is add an image. This is me at the beach very long ago. All right. And you want to add text. So the text would be just something as simple as, hey there, forget something. Return now to complete your order here. Okay, now I used to capitalize every letter, and there's a lot of talk, but you don't. Okay, especially as you build a brand, it actually is off-putting for a lot of people. What you want to do is get the URL, turn it into a bit.ly link, and put it, and then copy that bit.ly link and just put it here. So bit.ly / whatever it'll be. Okay, and that way you can track it and you can have another call to action in there, but that works well. Otherwise, don't get too much into it. Now here you want to put ideally, if you want to put 4.8 out of 5.0 stars of 1,000+ reviews. Okay. Now you want to add the little emoji. You can get little widgets for this as well. Extensions in Chrome, where you add the little stars as well. Okay, it really does work quite well. And then you want to use the AI text. I just add them. There's no harm. The more it actually makes sure add more a dynamic product ad, which is quite advanced. Okay. So description you don't need to worry about, but you can put something in if you want. It uses more space. Buy now before stock runs out, right? So you can see how it's more a gentle nudge, but it adds some scarcity, okay? I don't know why my headline disappeared. 4.8 at 5.0 stars of 1,000+ reviews, okay? All right. Leave that. You don't want a code. And then your URL is again www.dogs.com/dog collar. Okay, so you're sending them straight back to the same page. Leave all of those. You don't need to worry about those. And launch. That's step 1, right? So now you've got remarketing. We're going to go into step 2 as we talk more about this. Step 2, DPA remarketing. This one's really easy, and this one is for brands. Now, I should be perfectly honest. If you're running a single product store, this won't work really well for you. even with, if you have one product and 10 different variants, it more works best when you have a lot of different products, not just one product with 7 different SKUs. You want a lot of different products with a lot of different SKUs. Okay, so if you're running a single product store, you can skip this step. However, if you're running a brand with a collection of products, which is what I generally recommend, that's where you start to find a lot of repeat customers, larger AOV as you build your brand. DPA remarketing is where you want to go. Now, it's the easiest campaign to set up. It's remarketing, it's dynamic, and all you have to do is pretty much set it, some basic copy like I have here. If you get something completely order now before stock runs out, launch at $10 a day. I find a lot of the time it does a lot better than custom audience remarketing, but you run both. Okay, this run both because you just don't know. At least in the beginning, I'm just trying to give that. My experience is about 80% of the time DPA does best, and all you have to do is increase the budget. You never really need to optimize it, again, because it's remarketing, and you just let it do its thing. It really is. For years I've been using DPA, and it's really just quite amazing. So without further ado, as I said, we're just going to go into it. Make sure you have your catalog integrated. I have videos on that in the channel. Your catalog integrated from Shopify through to Facebook. It'll then just automatically update. Then you can choose that catalog in your ad account, and then you just add the copy. It is the easiest and best creative you'll probably ever make on Facebook. Okay, so we're back in our ad account again, and we're going to again go through the same process. You can see how for e-commerce it is much the same. Again, I just go manual in the beginning. Honestly, for remarketing, it's much for muchness. It's just personal preference. So DPA remarketing. All right, and we don't want the daily budget. Made that mistake before. Easy to fix. You don't need to worry about categories. Now, always like to double check these. 1, 2, 3. All right, so now that we've made it, we just want to enable the Advantage catalog. So you can see if you've got multiple catalogs, give it an appropriate name. I haven't in this case, but it really doesn't matter for this. But right, you want to make sure you have that. So we're just going to choose that catalog. Next. DPA remarketing. You don't want to go maximum amount of link links. You want to go conversions. Leave it as purchase. Don't put that in. 7-day, 1-day click. Always just leave that. I just find that works really well. Always charge on impressions, and you can actually break down your products into different ones. I leave it as all, especially in the beginning. Okay, and we want to go retarget people, and all you do is the same thing as see how it has viewed or added to cart but not purchased. That's literally all you need to do. It is so simple. All placements, especially, it works really well on all placements because it's just literally a carousel, and we're going to see that on the next one. DPA ad. See how it's got leave the product name, okay, and primary text. Forget something. Turn now to complete your order before stock runs out. Okay, you can see how this works best when you have a lot of products. Okay, so it's really important. Keep that pun mate in mind. Literally just run that copy. Don't add a bit.ly link there. You can see how that it just works quite well. It's just simple remarketing. Leave that. Now the destination URL is the one thing. That's your home page. Okay, always do that as your home page, and that's all you need to do. You don't need to worry about display all of these unless you're running, an app. But for this, you want to go tracking and make sure that's done. And that's your DPA. Again, if you're running a single product store, this isn't for you. It's good to know. But if you're a brand, this is really, really handy, and I recommend that you use it, especially as you build out your brand. DPA is the easiest. You can see how much less time. It took me much longer to make that creative, even though it was poorly made. Whereas this, no time at all. That's why DPA is so amazing, so easy, and you'll see the profits are exceptional. All right, let's move on to the next step. So step 3 is optimizing the winning product or products, right? It's all the same, all right? Generally, depending on your budget, I try and run one campaign per product, but sometimes you can run a number per one. before the campaign scaling. I forgot the word scaling there, my apologies. So again, these steps, I just like to add that as a guideline so that you can use it as you see fit. You want to optimize your campaign. So all you really want to do at the ad set level is check your age, gender, location. So most of the time you'll have had a number of ad sets running, different audiences at this stage being most likely interest. If you see obvious areas, it's a clear winner. So for instance, let's say 0 out of 10 men purchased and all of it, you have no purchases for men and 10 women. Facebook will have probably already put 90% of the budget there. But if you take out men, that's 10% more budget to put towards women. That could be another purchase. It is a very, very simple thing. It's not, rocket science, so to speak. This is sort of how I like to do it, because then as you scale, your cost of acquisition will always go up. But if you do this first, you can negate a lot of that, right? And so that's sort of how I do it. On to step number 5. Once you've done that for all ad sets, check your ads. All you need to do here is simply check on a CPP, cost per acquisition, cost per purchase, same thing, and ROAS basis, return on ad spend. If they are all similar, keep them all. But again, if you see obvious, when I say obvious, is it like just will be glaringly obvious. If you got 50-50 men, women, right? And don't, optimize that. Let Facebook just do that, okay? If it's though 9 men, 1 woman, then it's obviously very much men is where I would focus, unless the cost per acquisition was very low for women. But you'll usually see and you'll get a feel, right? This is just a guide frame. So one of the things is you sort of just got to get a feel for that as well. Between doing all of this, you'll have optimized your campaign, including the ad sets and the ads very easily. I'm just going to show you how you can then break it down to see how you can filter it. Very, very simple. The whole point of this is that it's just a simple little step that we do before we go into the actual heavy scaling part. I'm just going to show you how to do that now. And you can see, again, got all the ad sets. So let's say this one. So I don't look at the campaign to break down. You want to use this. Never look at day. Never worked well for me. The main ones you want to look at is platform, age, placement, and country. If you're obviously marketing to one country, you don't need to worry about that. You can see that mine's not really showing anything because I don't have any data. So hold on, let me see. Yeah, still no data. Okay, but basically all you want to do, you'll see all the different ages, you'll see gender, placement. So the main one, platform is Facebook or Instagram, or even WhatsApp in that now. But I generally just look at placement. I have a look at platform if it's obvious, right? A lot of, let's say, fashion related items will do significantly well on Instagram and not that well on Facebook, right? Whereas a lot of need items will do a lot better on Facebook than they do Instagram. Just different nature of the platforms, different sort of mindset that they're currently in. And so you just have a look there and you choose them. And if you see anything very obvious, then you optimize it. Whenever I've scaled my e-commerce brands, that's generally how I've done it, right? One of the easiest ways to scale is not just increasing budget, it's to optimize it. You could spend the same budget you're in now and get double the amount of purchases just by making some of these changes. Okay, so that's my next step. Let's go to the next step now. It's Advantage Plus is just meant to, it's a nicer word, but it previously was called CBO. Facebook just renamed it, with more audiences and LLAs, lookalikes. This is the most important campaign to scale. It's the one where you're going to spend the most. Okay, for this, you want to copy your best audiences. You're targeting usually on a cost per acquisition. So if you have 5 audiences at this stage, you want to probably put 3 in. Make another 3 audiences as duplicates of it, because you want to leave your existing ones as is because they're already getting sales and it's already going through the learning phase. Duplicate it into a new campaign. Each ad set is worth at least $10. Okay, so we're talking $30 a day here. If you're feeling, very aggressive about it, obviously increase it, but I'm saying at $10 minimum. Before you duplicate, you've already done the previous step. Basically, is number 6 there is just a reminder. Then in the custom audience manager, you want to make your lookalikes like what I was showing you. I'll show you again. You can make 1 through to 10 and make them 1 What I mean by 1 through to 10 is 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4 as separate LLAs. And then you put them into the ad set level and you want to then make 10 new audiences. So you can see you have your 3 best plus another 10. We're talking 130 a day. Okay. Once you've done that, you want to make your 1 to 10. You can do it for add to cart, view content, add to cart, and share, checkout, purchase. However, the further you go down the funnel, the more data you need before you do it. Hence why we start with VC 30 days as our custom audience to build it from there. Once you get at least 100 add to cart, as an example, make a custom audience, then make LLAs. Okay, so that's sort of the general rule of thumb. 100 to validate that, because 100 add to carts is quite significant. Okay. So you can make a custom audience for each of these conversion triggers and monitor it, and once it hits that, make the LLAs, right? So what I mean by that is you can make the custom audiences now and you can see the amount that's in there, okay? And sort of monitor if you wish. But you'll also see that through your dashboard on Shopify, how many people have added to cart and stuff too, so you can monitor it either way, just a matter of preference. Make sure you give the LLA, we're on step 11 of this overall step, at least 60 minutes to populate. It takes time for it to get the pixel data, and it does a lot of back-end work for that. Then you go back to your scaling campaign, duplicate your existing 10 times, as I said, because we're putting in 1 through to 10. And this is where you test each LLA. So think of an LLA as just another audience, right? They're usually 1 to 5 million in size, if we're talking United States. And then you basically just launch them with your optimized ad sets of, you know, what age, gender, location, generally, and then you have your best creatives. So what you're doing is basically you've already gone through the heavy testing phase, and now you're just testing more audiences that you can then scale with. Okay, it's really, really important because your audiences will get exhausted. You want to leave it for 3 days minimum. So you're looking at spending at least $300 just on this cold campaign, $300-400. For a lot of people that can be a lot, but if you want to scale, this is how you do it, right? This is really important, and you want to get some data, some valuable data, because sadly, you know, these things don't take 5 minutes. They do take a good few days, because sometimes there's different cycles. You know, one day it could just be a bad day. You don't want to just do that. You want to give it the golden 3 rule, okay? So let's go in, and I'm just going to show you how you do this on a broad basis, and so that then you can do it yourself. Now that we're back in here, again, like before, Events Manager is different. I want to make that very clear. Events Manager is for troubleshooting your pixel and manage that. Audiences is pulls data from Pixel. So like what was showing before, none of these are going to obviously work in terms of this. So we choose a pixel. We don't want to choose physical store, right? Obviously, because we're an e-commerce related one. You can choose a different event, and you want to start with add to cart, right? So see how even somehow with this it gets that, and see how it actually recommends something like that, right? Choose a country. You know, in this case, most of us are trying to mark the United States, and you want to, for some reason, you can only go 6, which is honestly quite stupid. What you do is you have to do this, go create. Yeah, so get some little errors. You'll look like yeah, so I can't create it. What I was going to say is, you, for the case of this testing, you want to go 1, and then you do that, right? It's a bit of a silly thing, but obviously because you're going 6, I should say, you change it to 4, right? So you can just move this across. Now you can make bigger LLAs, okay, but in the beginning you want to just test what individual LLA, and then you can make like huge ones, and you can see that they're 2.8 million, okay? So you could make one LLA that's like 1 to 7%, it's like that, right? But in the beginning you want to start like that as we're doing an advanced strategy. You can make a lot of different LLAs, but I'm giving you a starting point to scale. Once you see, let's say like a 1% LLA that's doing quite well, make like a 1 to 3% or 0 to 3%, okay? And try a number of different combinations there, because trust me, while it sounds the same, it can be very different. Obviously, I can't make them in these test ad account, but you can see that this is how you can do it. You can also do add payment info, but I've found that that doesn't work really well unless you're really highly scaling, okay? But those are the main ones you want to look at, and that's how you make lookalikes. Then all you do is you go back into your ad account in the ads manager. And I'm just going to use this one because it really doesn't matter. It's just the exact same campaign. The only difference is the audience. And the audience is either a custom audience or it's a lookalike, right? And so here you will see, you can have the tabs for custom audience and lookalikes. You'll see the lookalikes populate there. As I said, after 60 minutes, you choose them one per ad set and give the ad set the name of LLA 1% as an example. So you can easily identify what LLA that is without having to go into the settings each time. Okay, that's all you need to do. Very, very easy. Let's go to the final step, which is further scaling strategy. So step number 5 is optimization and budget for further scaling. This is where it becomes really, really easy. You can add more creatives, but usually I find at this point, you've already done most of the legwork. And you should be in the heavy scaling stage. If you're getting at least probably like a 2 to 3 ROAS, based on the budget you're probably spending of around 400 a day, you're probably making about 1,000 a day in revenue, right? So that's pretty significant. So congratulations. So this is where you can see further explosive growth. You want to start segmenting your custom audiences to 1, 3, 7, 14, and 30-day VC. All you do is what I've shown you, make different custom audiences with exact same variables. Only difference is 1 day, 3 day. And you want to then, let's say for 1 day, you'll put that as a custom audience. When you get to 3 day, you go 3 days excluding 1 day. I'll show you how you do that. And then all you want to do is you want to make different creatives. It could be literally the same image, same video, but different copy. And the copy for the first 3 is you just want to sort of do nudges. Hey, did you forget something? Come back, return now. Hey, just informing you that stock won't last forever. Come back now. Next one would be, hey, stock is running really low. What you're trying to do is you're doing 3 nudges without giving a discount. You're not devaluing your brand. You're just giving them that strong nudge. And then you want to add a 5% and then 10 to 15% tops, right? Up to you, but that's sort of how I do it because I work on my margins. If you give too many discounts too early, it can get you sales, but it really devalues your brand long term. So I'm also just trying to factor that in as well. You can add ATC in as well for custom audience and start looking at lookalikes as well for this. And again, you're spending at least 300 a day. So this sort of ties into that as a whole. As I said, make new copy. The key is to make sort of new copy. Don't focus on just giving people discounts straight away. Focus on general nudges. Hey, stock's running low. Stock won't last forever. Limited edition. Those types of things that nudge people without having to give a discount, and works really, really well because then you can give you discounts more on the back end through other ways. As for your cold campaign, increase its budget by 20%. This is where I said all the way in the beginning, 20% week on week. Okay, some people will say, oh, you should double, triple it in a week. No, that's silly. Now, I know for many people like dropshippers and that's an important thing. I get it, but my approach here is to try and build a brand. So that's why my focus is on 20% week on week. So if you're spending $500 in that campaign and it's done within the metrics that you're comfortable with, you would go 20% of whatever $500 is, being $100, and you would make it $600. And then the next week, if it's doing really well, it would be 20% of $600, whatever that looks like. You can change that based on your comfort and all those different variables, but I find 20 to 30% is that golden rule. Okay, if you literally double it, I guarantee your margins will just drop, right? Okay, it looks really good for revenue and sales and that, but all the additional work and stress that comes involved, and then all the margins that just get chewed away, you're basically just giving Facebook the money. At the end of the day, you don't want to do that. So that's why I sort of do that. It is a more controlled approach. I've tried many times that approach, and no matter what time of year, even in Christmas, the only time that slightly works is if you have an established brand and it's Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Otherwise, there's no other time of the year that works. But honestly, for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you probably don't want to focus on that. You'd focus more on email marketing as a brand anyway. At the same time, you want to try and keep making new ads. This could be literally just ads with different copy. Okay, same creative, different copy. So don't get too focused on that. You already have ads that are working well. If you know what ad type of ads are working well, is image, is carousel, model that. Don't try and reinvent the wheel, just model what works, because it guaranteed will have a significantly better impact for your business. Keep remarketing at 20% max, as I've sort of said throughout the entire time, between cold custom audience as well as DPA. 20%, right? It works really well. One way you can also tell if you can increase it further is if your frequency is not above a 6 at maximum, is what I generally find as a bit of a golden rule. Okay, so that's pretty much all you need to do. I'm just going to quickly show you how to do inclusions and exclusions. It's nothing hard. Once you know how to do it, it's very, very simple. What you're doing is you're controlling the same traffic through a slightly different funnel to keep remarketing to them and keep it fresh, so that then you can get them locked in long term. Okay, and this works on the basis of the sort of the 7 times rule, because you've done cold 1, 3, 7, 14, 30 days. Okay, so at least 6 touch points there. I know I said 7, but pretty much 7. You can increase that to then 60. I used to do 180-day VC. I find that doesn't really work well. I usually find up to 30-day VCs really well, where people top of mind and you sort of go from there. So let's go into the Ads Manager one last time as we talk about this on what you can do there as well. All right, so back in the Ads Manager, I'm already in the ad set, and this is where the magic happens for how you do inclusions and exclusions. Like what we've done before, as you can see, it's all very standard, just some slight differences per campaign, and then it's all just budget management. It really, honestly, I'm not trying to sound whatever, but it's not rocket science. I'm no rocket scientist. So let's say we choose this teachable purchase, right? So I ran that. I'm going to remove that just for the sake of it, and then I want to exclude teachable purchases 30 days, for whatever reason. Okay, let's see if I can, this one. So what you're doing is you're using the custom audiences that are already filtered based on the variables that you've set on the back end, and now you're controlling that traffic about how you want to market to them. That could be that you might be running 5 different campaigns for different products, and you will naturally want to market to people different. That's where the flexibility and control of this allows you to really hone in on the customer, the creative, and the copy. The real goal of all of this is to really make sure that you're honing in on the type of customer you want to hone in on to reduce your cost per purchase and increase your ROAS. And then, as I said, you just want to have these in a, at this stage, you'll have them in a CBO Advantage Plus campaign on 20% of what you're spending on the cold campaign for that product. So again, if you're spending $500, you'll spend $100 here and just let it run, and it does its work. You'll find the more you scale and the more stability you have in your business and running this strategy, you'll find you'll have consistency, you'll have good profits, you'll have reliability, you won't have out-of-count suspensions. A lot of dropshippers get that, but this also circumvents that because you're taking it slow and steady. And at the end of the day, you'll have consistency and reliability in your business. So I hope this has been helpful. If you did like this, the cheat sheet, not the cheat sheet, pardon me, the slides are down below for you to use as you see fit. Other than that, thank you very much for your time. Take care and goodbye.